Hello, my safari friends. I know this is a little bit odd, but strange as it is, Mrs. Roberts can't get her video to flip back and forth while she's recording. So, today is Friday, and our theme is God's people, which is very exciting, and it's also our last day together, so thank you so much for sticking through the week with us. Our day today is going to be a little bit different. We're going to go ahead and do the connection story first. Then we'll talk about our Bible story, and we're going to close with a singing prayer because you can pray and sing at the same time, which is lovely. So I'm going to scoot back around and go ahead and do the connection story with you today. This is one of my favorite books. It's called This Is How We Do It, and it's a day in the life of 7 kids from around the world. So, this is a map of all the different places that the children are from. And the different children are Romeo from Italy, Kai from Japan, Daphne from Uganda, Oleg from Russia, Ribaldo from Peru, Anu from India, and Kian from Iran. And this is where they live. In Russia, I live in a second-floor apartment in Uchile, a mining town near the Ural Mountains. In Peru, I live in a house my father built. In Los Naranjos, a village in the Amazon rainforest. In Japan, she lives in a house in the metropolis of Tokyo, one of the largest cities in the world. In Uganda, they live in a house made of wood and mud. In Italy, they have a vineyard in the backyard, which are plants that grow grapes for wine. In Iran, he also lives in an apartment, but near the Caspian Sea. And in India, she lives on a first-floor apartment near a river. And this is who they live with. Most of the children are living with their parents and their siblings, but as you can see, some of them have more siblings, some of them have fewer siblings. And this is what they wear to school. So some of the kids have to wear uniforms, and some get to choose what they want to wear. Some of the uniforms are very formal, and some of them are a lot more casual. This is what they eat for breakfast. Bread, eggs, feta cheese, walnuts, and tea with sugar. Fried rice with chicken and peppers, sliced boiled plantains, and hot milk. Meat, bread, eggs, and milk, and something called matoki, which I am not quite sure what that is. Paneer paratha with tomato chutney, which is a tomato sauce, and milk. What do you think about having miso soup, which is a kind of soy sauce soup, and fish for breakfast? Over here, they have toast, bread, farmer's cheese, apple juice, and something called oat kasha. This one looked to be my favorite because Nutella is chocolate hazelnut spread, but to drink, a cup of egg yolks mixed with sugar, milk, and tea. Different people have different things for breakfast, and this is how they go to school. In Japan, I walk by myself along the city streets past houses and shops. I smell roasting coffee beans from a cafe, and she says what I think is probably a form of hello to the crossing guards. In Russia, He also walks past large apartment buildings, a mosque, a church, cats basking in the sun, and Mount Iramel far in the distance. In Peru, they walk next to the main road, and they sometimes stop to buy a snack of sweet bread from a fruit stand. In Iran, my mom or dad drives me in our car. We zoom past construction sites, office buildings, and people who are going to work. In Italy, he rides a school bus. You probably ride a school bus too. But I bet you don't always see a shepherd and his sheep. In Uganda, they have to walk for a half an hour along a path past bicyclists and groves of eucalyptus and banana trees. In India, her mom drives her and her friends in a van through the busy streets, past hotels, shops, and cows that freely roam the roads. They have different teachers. In Uganda, they call their teacher by her first name. In Italy, they call their teacher by her first and last name with a ma'am tacked onto the end. In Russia, they call their teacher by her first and last name. In Peru, they use the term professor. In Japan, they say sensei, which is a name for teacher. In Italy, they call their teacher by their first name. And I don't speak Persian, so I can't translate what they call the teacher in Iran. And these are their classrooms. We study general awareness, value education, and subjects like math, Hindi, and English. In Japan, they wear white indoor slippers and are in charge of cleaning the classrooms every day. They study ethics as well as math, science, and Japanese. In Peru, our school is very small, so the 14 kids in the 5th and 6th grades study in the same room. We have different subjects each day, and our school ends at 1 o'clock. That's much earlier than our schools usually end. In Russia, they study 3 languages, and they're in the class with the same kids and teachers for 1st through 4th grade. In Uganda, she goes to a private school far from home, so she stays with her grandma. And there are 69 boys and girls in her class. That's a huge class. And they study math, reading, writing, and religion. In Iran, he goes to an all-boys school, and they study reading, writing, Farsi, which is a language, math, science, and the Quran, which is their holy book. In Italy, they do many activities and visit parks and go to forests and museums, and they put on a musical at the end of the year. They have school from 8 until 4, which is closer to our schedule. And this is how they spell their names, because in some different languages, they even have different alphabets. And then they have lunch, which is also very different from what we usually eat. The ravioli with sage and cheese and water looks good to me. In Japan, they have soup with cucumber, tofu, and seaweed. And this is how they play. They jump rope, play hockey, have a stone throwing competition, play hanky thief, play freeze tag, ride horses, play soccer. And they help too by sweeping the courtyard, hanging up laundry, feeding the cat, helping in the cornfields, vacuuming the rugs, taking care of a little brother, or helping to cook dinner. then they eat dinner together. I thought it was interesting the different times that people ate. In Iran, this family eats at 9 o'clock. In Russia, they eat at 6 o'clock. Over here in Italy, they eat at 8 o'clock, which is the time I put my boys to bed. And over here in Uganda, they eat at 10 o'clock at night. In Japan, they eat at about 7 o'clock. In India, they eat at 9 o'clock. And in Peru, they eat at 7 o'clock. And they have coffee to drink. And then in the evening, they play chess, play board games, relax with their families, watch cartoons, help with homework, work on model cars, read mystery books together. And this is where they sleep, on wood planks with 3 folded blankets next to your sister. In your own room on a wooden bed with a down blanket that you use in the winter. In your own room on a wooden bed with your favorite blanket. On a futon on the floor next to your sister. On a wooden bed under a mosquito net in a room I share with my parents. A lofted bed in a room you share with your younger brother. On a huge bed next to my sister and my parents. But this is everyone's night sky.